trauma loves drama. At least in my experience, that seems to be the case. The traumatized nervous system has been cross-wired. It's developed with some really wild associations. And one of the associations is that there's only safety, or I'm only truly safe, which isn't true, by the way, but it feels like I'm only truly safe when things are a little bit dramatic, things are a little bit exciting. There's a problem to be solved, something to be fixed, something's going on, and I can be of use. I can validate myself through fixing the problem or winning the argument, that kind of thing. And it's only as I continue to heal and continue to wake up and continue to live that I really recognize that actually I can find peace and quiet, stability, just stillness, really quite threatening on a very deep level, which, it seems a little bit odd, doesn't it? It seems a bit backwards. There's so much in the world about seeking relaxation, seeking stillness, trying to pick up these methods to calm everything down. But what I often find is that when things calm down and I'm left in a very still, quiet, nothing to do kind of situation, the body can read that as a threat. Now, that's really problematic when you're trying to find stillness. So I talk a lot about the path of awakening, and a big part of that is deep, you could say, mindfulness or awareness and subtle attention towards the moment, recognizing how it is right now. And often that's deeply still, deeply calm. There's a growing sensitivity to the stillness that's available right here. But when there's a huge part of this makeup that is conditioned to read that stillness as danger, threatening, something's wrong, then it can make life really challenging. It can make the healing process, the trauma healing process, and the awakening process, and life in general, really kind of confusing, actually, because there's a longing in my heart, you could say, a yearning for deep stillness, and there's a conditioning in my body that fears that very same stillness. And I can kind of feel where it comes from. In those early years, quiet and stillness and isolation and being alone and peace were often associated with kind of exile and punishment and being removed from the family structure, or like having care or love removed, taken away from me. So actually, when things were quiet, when I was younger, that was often a sign of threat, like, oh, something's about to go off, or I've done something wrong. If everything's quiet, everything's still, it means somebody's stewing, because usually there's something going on, some drama, basically, some kind of activity, like banter, problem solving, telling off, rushing around, something going on. And when that's not going on, well, something's wrong, and it's got to be my fault. It's got to be my fault that something's wrong. This is how the very early brain, my very early makeup, kind of made sense of this. So now I can sense almost a self-sabotaging facet of my nervous system, of my trauma conditioning, that when things are going okay and there's nothing to report and everything's kind of calm and still, a very deep part of my makeup does not trust that. It says, nope, something's inherently wrong. There's got to be something wrong, because the earliest message received when things were like this, calm, peaceful, still, was this is threatening. Something is about to kick off. There's about to be some kind of dramatic explosion, maybe violent, maybe verbally violent, emotionally manipulative, something like that. Something's going to kick off. So, and what came up for me was this people-pleasing performative aspect. It's like, okay, well, perform. Fill the gap. Fill the silence with that part of you that distracts others, maybe pleases others, makes others laugh. And if it doesn't make them laugh, maybe it makes them argue, but argue in a way that is knowable, predictable, as opposed to the unknown threat that can be born out of silence. So yeah, often when we're on this healing process and during this awakening process, if we have a traumatized nervous system, we can find the present moment when everything's peaceful and calm and still, really threatening. We might not notice that that's happening. That there's a sense of threat building up when apparently nothing's going on. So I guess I'm encouraging others, and I'm encouraging myself by saying this, to be aware of that, to recognize that that's okay. There's nothing wrong with us because we feel this way. And actually we can communicate that to others. And if we notice that the still, quiet, isolated moments are becoming a bit overwhelming, a bit too much, we can allow ourselves, we can now allow ourselves distractions, something that soothes us, maybe with other people. Maybe we can go out, go and engage in the world, not force ourselves to stay in the kind of threatening gloom of the stillness, which is how it can feel sometimes. Well, it's very hard for me to describe, but when it's at its worst, in that very deep stillness, it gives me deep memories of shame, that I definitely have done something wrong. I've been isolated. Not that it's like a stillness that I've chosen to be in, which it is really, but actually this quiet is associated to isolation and exile and punishment. So I can feel the same response arising in me sometimes after maybe a few days of quiet. And it can be a lot. And it's taken a long time to learn, oh, this is okay, this is natural. Seeing this is part of the healing journey. Tending to this with kindness is what was never done when I was very, very young. This isolation was, it was never tended to with understanding and listening. It was, like I said, it was a punishment. So by tending to this feeling of threat with kindness now, I can help to heal myself. I can help to heal those old wounds. And a great way of doing that is to get out and about. Don't force myself to stay in the isolation, in the gloom when it's overwhelming. Because I had to be in it, in my childhood. I had to be there. There was no other way to respond. I just had to be quiet until things got better. But that's not the case now. I can move about. I can engage the world. So, I wanted to just share a little bit about the nature of the traumatized nervous system and how often it can seek out drama and feel that there's safety in that. Because that's the flip side of what I've just described as well. So in the stillness, there can be a threat. Peace and quiet can be threatening. Yet sometimes I can sabotage my own well-being because I think and I feel on a deep level that there's got to be some drama. If there's no drama, things are not okay. So then I'll get involved in some kind of japes or hijinks, or I can undermine my own well-being. I mean, luckily, I'm really close to experience now, and I can really feel what's going on, and I don't succumb to those sabotaging instincts, but like the nature to which I have sabotaged my own well-being in the past is It's huge. Yeah, I can see all those times when I felt like I needed things to be going mental, really, in order to feel okay, just to avoid that sense of isolation and shame that was associated with peace and quiet. So this is a bit of a longer one. There's no quick solutions. There's no quick answers to this. But bringing it into the light and working with these facets gently can really help. And speaking to people about it is really important. Not just seeing this aspect of us in our own mind's eye, in our own awareness, but also sharing this with others, letting them know. Certainly for me, speaking to my loved ones about my own self-destructive tendencies, and they often, surround addiction issues, like speaking to them about that has been absolutely crucial for me to let go of them, for me to not be bound to repeat, these maladapted mechanisms of the past. So I hope this is useful, and I'd love it if you left a comment below if any of this resonates with you.